Hello, 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 dreamers. Perla here, as always. Thank you for your love and support. Thank you for liking, sharing, subscribing to the channel. And if you haven't done so, go ahead and do so. We would love to have you. All right, so let's jump in. Aries, Aries, you're wanting to you're wanting to give somebody the finger. And I'm picking up this energy very much, like, our little lovely middle finger, right? You're wanting to give somebody this finger. And I'm picking up this energy when it comes to work, or somebody of authority. So whether this is a parent or, again, like your boss or whatever, you're wanting to give somebody the finger because you're speaking on something that they do not understand or something that they do not know. So for those of you that this is coming in the energy of work, maybe you have a boss or a supervisor that is fairly new, or somebody that's really not aware of what it takes for a certain department to run, or what the nuances of it is, right? So, and again, I'm just throwing this out there because it's like the easiest example that I can use, right? I was a nurse for many years, and I didn't do nursing homes, but I did assisted living for a few years. And even though I was a nurse, I would still help the CNAs, right? I was never a CNA. I went straight into nursing, but I always made it a priority to know what it was that those that I was supervising were doing. So I used to supervise an overnight unit, and so I used to help them. When I, especially when I first started, I helped them with their nighttime routines on top of everything else that I had to do. Now, did I help them with every patient? No, but I helped with certain things because I needed to see what the time frame was, what needed to change, what was too much for the overnights and etc. Because I wanted to have an even playing field across the field, right? Across the different shifts. So I made it a point to learn what CNAs did. Even though we had a little bit of that when we were in nursing school, we were doing so CNA work and stuff like that. I had never done it in a professional like working experience, right? And that helped me be be a better supervisors to those that I was supervising during those shifts, right? And even though I worked overnights and a lot of people don't like picking up overnights, we would have a lot of people that wanted to pick up because they liked working with me, right? So it's kind of like that dynamic where you may have a nursing supervisor that has no idea what it takes to be a CNA, and they do not understand how much work actually goes in, how much time it actually goes, and all of this stuff. And they're here just barking orders, and you're just like, yo, I swear to God, like this person comes at me one more time, and I'm gonna lose my job, right? Because you're demanding something without being aware of what it takes, right? So it's kind of like that energy that a lot of you are dealing with this week. If this isn't a relationship aspect, is like maybe your significant other works outside of the house and you stay home, and they are expecting, and I'm saying that this way because this is the way that it's coming up. They are expecting you to have the house in a certain way, like food freshly cooked regardless of the time that they walk in through the door, right? Sometimes they get home at 4, sometimes they get home at 6, and they're still expecting the same thing. And it's like, again, they haven't done what it is that you're doing. They haven't been a stay-at-home parent, so they do not know what it takes. Or vice versa, maybe you're the one who's going out to work and they are, staying home, and they are expecting you to be home at 4 o'clock every day, and you're just like, hey, sometimes that's not possible. There's here an energy of somebody having some type of expectation that is unrealistic, and you're being asked during this time to have a conversation and to address it. Do not allow yourself to kind of blow up over this. Do not allow yourself to lose your temper. Have a sincere conversation with this person so that you guys can meet in the middle, right? There has to be like a middle ground between the two of you. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and let's pull out an oracle card as your closing message. I'm not pulling any tarot for you guys because it doesn't feel like it's needed. Father Sky, trust in the unknown. So there has to be you have to be able to have trust that if you communicate, if you speak out on this in a way that you're not allowing your emotions to take over, the situation is going to resolve itself. And resolve itself in the way that if you speak, the other person is going to not just hear you, but they're also going to listen to what it is that you're saying. They're going to take in what it is that you're saying. They're not going to be dismissive. Now, the longer that it takes you to speak up on something, the higher chances of something being dismissed in the future. Why? Because if you tolerate something for an extended period of time, then it is going to be expected of you to continue tolerating it. And I hope that that makes sense. Okay, Taurus, we have this energy, this energy there's this rush energy for you guys this week. you're trying, there's either a deadline that you're trying to meet, whether this is at work or at home. There's some type of deadline that has you rushing, and you need to take a breather, you need to take a seat, and you need to gather your thoughts, you need to gather yourself. This energy is really coming in, like, you know, when you have like multiple tabs open, like on your phone and things like that. It's like, that's what it looks like. That's what your brain is feeling like you have your thoughts are racing in your head, and you're just like, can't catch a break, right? And what tends to happen in this chaotic energy is that then things start to quote unquote go wrong, and you start to feel like you're having bad luck. You start to feel like things are just not working in your favor, like things are working against you, when in reality all you have to do is sit down with yourself, take a moment, take a breath, and ground yourself, center yourself. Because remember, everything that you are experiencing outside of you starts within you. So I really need you to ground yourself. Yes, there may be a lot of things that you're trying to get in order for the week, and things that you're trying to catch up on. It's not that timeline or that time frame is not going to change just because you're walking around like a chicken without a head, right? That time frame is not going to change. So let's get grounded so that every step you take, every move you make this week is grounded enough to make change, to flow, to allow things to unfold in a more natural and ease state, right? So a very simple example is like, you know, if you say like, oh, I want to train for I want to train for a marathon, right? And let's say you're giving yourself 6 months or a year, whatever it is, right? Running every single day is not going to get you that goal, right? Why? Because you're overexerting your muscles. You're not giving yourself time to rest. You're not stretching, all of these things. So what is going to happen when that day comes, whether you've been running every day for a year, you're going to most likely 90% of the time end up injured or not being able to finish it, right? Because of the overexertion. But if you take that 6 months or whatever it is to train, to have your rest, to learn how to eat, to learn how to run, to find your tempo, all of these things, then once race day comes, you're going to be successful. So look at it this week. Like if you have a deadline for Friday, or you have a deadline for Saturday, or whatever it is, then ask yourself, what can I do, or how can I break this down in a way that it makes sense, that I am not overstimulating myself, I'm not overexerting myself, and I can still meet my deadline, right? Because again, there is this sense here of, by the time that, if you continue on with the energy that you are exhibiting at this moment in time, this chaotic energy, when the deadline comes, you're not going to meet it. And I'm just being honest, because you're either going to get extremely tired or extremely exhausted. There's going to be something within that chaotic energy that is not going to let you meet the timeline. So we have the magic guardian. Unlock the magic within. What is that magic within? That magic within is that grounding energy, that centering yourself, that frequency that comes from within you. That is your magic, right? That is the magic that this card is talking about. Really getting grounded so that then your frequency, your energy is influencing the energy around you, the space around you, the reality that is being created, right? And I always talk, and I've talked about this in the past, where if you take a few moments every day, at least for me personally, I can go outside, whether it is cold, rainy, it doesn't matter. I can go outside, take a couple of deep breaths, and I can sense what the energy is for that day. Meaning there are days that appear to go by really fast, and there are days that appear to last longer. They seem to last like forever. And that tuning into that energy allows me to plan my day. Okay, like today I'm going to tackle 10 things on my list, where on a day that it seems to go a little faster, I'm only going to tackle 2 things, because I know that by the time I'm done with those 2 things, it's going to be nightfall, right? So it's kind of like that energy. But in order to get into that space of getting in tune with that frequency, you're going to have to ground yourself enough, my love. Okay, Gemini, this week you're going back and forth. There's 2 options that are being presented to you. And again, we're talking here on energy, so you apply however it is. For those of you that this is in love, it's like you may be in a relationship with somebody, or you may be talking to somebody, and somebody else of interest comes along. Somebody that piques your interest comes along. But for a lot of you, this is more of this space of like work, like where you have a current job, you have a job that you show up to, you have, whatever it is, and then there is an opportunity opening up either in another department or in another completely different field or something of that matter. But there's something that is piquing your interest, that is taking focus away from something that you are already promised to I don't know why it's coming that way, right? Or something that you're committed to, right? So like if you're committed at your job and now all of a sudden you're seeing like another job, you're just like, this may be something that may work. For a lot of you, I really do not see you making a solid decision this week. I see you kind of staying in that space of like, Spirit, can you give me guidance? Spirit, can you give me guidance? Or you're praying for guidance. You're praying um, for guidance on how to move forward with this. So let's go ahead and let's see what else do we have when it comes to this energy of like moving forward. Um, it's funny the way that it's looking, because it's like whether you choose to stay or you choose to move into a different direction, a different job, the outcome or the end goal of whatever your path is still the same. And it doesn't seem to be like, let's say if where you're at doesn't pay as much, but the communication or the work life experience is okay, like everybody kind of for the most part gets along, there's no cattiness or anything like that. This job may offer you more money, but there's a lot of cattiness, there's a lot of fighting, there's a lot of backstabbing, right? Or the opposite, maybe that's where you're at, where you're making more money, but there's a lot of backstabbing, a lot of bitchiness, and etc. And this new job may not offer as much money, but the work environment is calmer. So there is no, like, each of them have their pros and cons. It is more as to what it is that you are able to live with, or what it is that you're able to, excuse me, achoo, bless me, um I know. Anyways, it's more about what it is that you want to engage with, right? So, and again, I'm talking about my own personal experience. There was a time where I was making a certain amount of money working overnight, but I was having an issue with the politics of the place. And I had given myself a certain amount of time to be within that space. And if things didn't change, I had made up my mind that I was leaving. And obviously, things didn't change, and I took a job somewhere else during the day, and I took a cut pay. But prior to leaving that job, I had already started living as if I was going to take a cut pay, right? Because I knew that switching to days, first of all, there was going to be a pay differential, and etc. I was, I am a licensed nurse, and I did that for many years. So I prepare myself financially to live on a lower budget, but I also told myself what that lower budget was going to be. Like I had an exact number that I was not going to go below that, right? And I went out and I switched job, and I took a cut paid, but I was already living financially within that space. So when I switched, the dynamic of it, the politics within the new company were amazing, and I loved it. And I was there until I was pulled out by my doctor, and the thing is that even though I was making quote unquote less, my lifestyle was better. My sense of self was better. Like I was feeling like myself again. So you have to ask yourself, like, is the extra $4 or $5 an hour worth it? Or can you live on a lower budget until and the funny thing is that within a year, I want to say like about a year and a half of working there, I was back to my starting pay at my other job. And within like, I like my 4.5 year mark, I was making a lot more, like a lot more than what I would have been making if I would have stayed at the other job. So there are times where we're put in certain situations, and we really have to learn to trust spirit and know that we're being guided in a way that is not just going to help us financially, but it's also going to help us emotionally, and is also going to help us physically, to allow us to really feel like ourselves. Does that make sense? So let's go ahead and let's pull out a closing message for Gemini. We have the she-wolf: unleash the wild within. And when we unleash this part of ourselves, and we really allow ourselves to listen to ourselves, anything is possible. Anything seems possible. Anything is attainable. So really listen to yourself. Really be honest with yourself. What is it that you are willing to live with, and what you are not? And trust me, if you say like, okay, I'm willing to take a cut pay, but I cannot do less than like $2 than what I'm making now, right? Then that's perfectly attainable. That is perfectly realistic. Put that out there. Speak to spirit about it. Set it in your intentions, however it is, whatever it is that you do to manifest. And trust me, this new job or whatever it is going to meet all of the demands, all of the standards that you're looking for. Okay, Cancer. Cancer, we have this energy this week where there was something that may have been short-lived. There may have been a compromise, or what you thought was an understanding between you and another person. And it's like there was a space of like, you thought that the water was calm, things were getting on track, right? And now all of a sudden you and this person are, there is this energy influencing that is causing arguments or disagreement even over the shortest thing. It's like, this person usually puts the pen here and you put the pen here. Like, why is the pen there? The pen belongs. And it's like this energy is coming up like this person really trying to control your actions. Now, whether this is at work, whether this is in a relationship, I always say is irrelevant. We're talking here about an energy, right? And once we get it through our heads that everything is energy, we start fixating so much on titles, if that makes any sense. So again, there is this energy of this person that wants to control you. They want to control what it is that you do. So they want to control your actions. They also want to, and to me, it makes me laugh when somebody's trying to control the way that you feel. Trying to control your feelings or trying to trigger your emotions, right, through certain actions and things like that. And yes, there are some people that are still in that space that allow that to happen. But it's like, baby, come on, wake up. Like this is an old game. This is something of like the old frequency, and it's like the old timeline, and you have to realize that you need to stop, like, and then I don't care how you go about that, whether you go about it like spiritually, whether you go and speak to somebody like a therapist, a psychiatrist, or whatever, a psychologist. But this energy of like speaking like and just being like, hey, why is this person having so much of a hold on me? And if somebody does have that much of a hold on you, then you need to admit it so that you can address it. Stop denying it. Stop denying it, because again, the way that this energy is coming in for you guys this week is very bickering, like this nagging energy where somebody is nagging over the fact that they are unable to control you. Make sense? Okay. So let's go ahead and let's pull out an oracle card as your closing message. The shapeshifter. Transform and unveil your gifts, right? So what is your gift within this space? Your gift, hold on, because I'm not trying to get any of my cards wet. What is your gift during this phase? Your gift during this time, in this space of having somebody trying to control you, is you standing, like, you being grounded within yourself, you being grounded within knowing who you are, and choosing, because again, we choose, whether it's consciously or subconsciously, but choosing consciously not to let somebody else come and take your joy away, not to let somebody come in and make you feel or trigger you with certain emotions or anything like that, right? And you're having to transform through this energy, and it's going to be something that is going to be beautiful and it's going to be amazing, but you're going to have to first accept the fact that somebody triggers you enough to that point where it feels like you're losing control of yourself. Okay. Leos. All right, Leo, you feel betrayed by someone. You feel like someone crossed a certain line, or they crossed a line that shouldn't have been crossed. For whether this is in a relationship or like a romantic relationship or a platonic relationship, there was something that you felt was sacred, something that you felt that was between you and someone else, and someone has betrayed you either by talking or confiding in somebody else outside of the dynamic of you and them, right? So how can this play out? Well, let's say you have a sibling. I'm gonna use an example. Like, let's say I tell one of my sisters or my brother something personal about myself, but I'm saying it because I'm venting, and then I turn around and 2 hours later my mother is calling me or my father's calling me asking me how I'm doing in this situation, when I know that I didn't speak to them directly, right? I spoke to my sister or my brother, whatever it was. And it's like, at that moment in time, I feel betrayed. I feel like somebody has let me down. Somebody violated something that was sacred, in the sense that if I spoke to you, I spoke to you. I didn't speak to everyone else that you're connected to. And that's the type of energy that I am picking up. So like, if you are married, or you're in a relationship, maybe your significant other is looking for help. They're looking for therapy, or they're looking to vent, or whatever it is. And you feel betrayed by them talking to somebody outside of you too, right? Like, it's like you guys are not doing couples therapy. They're getting therapy on their own, but they're venting about their connection or their relationship with you, and for some reason that makes you uncomfortable, right? Or is that type of violation that I am picking up in this energy, where somebody feels betrayed, and it's like, I am very adamant, like, when I share certain things with certain people, like, I really don't have a lot of secrets that I quote unquote like share. And if I am sharing something with somebody that I wanted to stay between the two of us, I will say it before we talk. I'm like, hey, this is something that needs to stay between us. And that usually comes in a form of like an idea or a project or something that I'm trying to create or something that I'm trying to manifest. And for the most part, again, I keep those to myself. But there are times where I want to bounce certain things off of, like to get feedback. And there is an understanding that things are just between the two of us, right? So it's not coming out between the two of us. And if they feel like there's a third person that can help or assist, they would tell me like, hey, can I share this with this, or can we talk to this person about this, because I feel like they may have a better input in this, right? And this is where I say that communication is key. Whenever you are engaging with somebody, regardless of what it is, whether it is a romance, whether it's a platonic, a work relationship, or collaboration, whatever it is, communication is always key. Having a clear guideline of what is expected, what is expected and what is needed for a certain foundation, right, to be solid, for a certain connection to work is needed. And what happens here is like, for a lot of you, you guys maybe have not spoken out, and you are just expecting the other person to know what is sacred to you, or to know how you're going to feel. No one is here to read your mind, my love. Like, you're going to have to at some point speak out on the things that are making you uncomfortable, or the things that you don't want to share, right? For those of you that this is a relationship, you may have a significant other that is constantly sharing with your in-laws, right? Whether it's your mother-in-law, father-in-law, sister-in-law, brother-in-law, whatever-in-law, when you guys are having issues, when you guys are arguing, when you guys, the things that they dislike about you. And again, there's something in the space of there's something in the space that certain things were not spoken on prior to a commitment, or prior to a marriage, prior to whatever. And now you guys are dealing with the consequences of that, but you're taking it as a betrayal. So we have this sage: be devoted and committed. So there is a space here that you're going to have to learn, Leo, how to be devoted and how to be committed to yourself, how to be devoted to your truth, to your true self, to that grounded your like to the grounded self that is able to then speak out, like using your throat chakra, speaking out without ever feeling like somebody is going to attack you, without feeling like somebody's going to misunderstand you, without feeling like anything, right? Just like seriously, like learning to speak out is what you need to do. Okay. Virgos. Virgo, this week, why are you this week there's somebody here that is popping up as a distraction. This is somebody that you may be talking to, not necessarily dating, but you guys are definitely like in this talking stage. And I'm gonna say it, and you can take it however you want, my love. I do not like the fact that this person is becoming a distraction. What do I mean by that? When someone comes into your life and is coming in an energy that is time consuming, somebody that is like texting you nonstop, that is wanting your attention nonstop, that is needing validation nonstop, that even if they're texting you like, oh, it's like noon, and they're like, oh, you forgot about me, type of text. Like, you have to be able to identify certain tactics or certain energies, right? This person either expects you like to love bomb them, or is love bombing you, if that's the terminology people are using, right? And the reason why I say I don't like this energy is because this is somebody that has not healed from a certain space of this. And again, we all to a certain extent need certain things from connections, right? That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about when someone's nervous system, someone's frequency is so out of whack that everything is to like the extreme, right? This person wants to be on FaceTime or wants to be on the phone with you while you're working, while you're sleeping, and all of this. And it's like, you know, these are things that in that moment we're thinking is something so sweet and something so beautiful, but it really starts to create these codependency energies that then you see manifesting in relationships further later on. And the thing is that something that extreme can only exist for a period of time before it starts to bleed into other areas, right? So what tends to happen when you are connecting with people that are so wanting so much of you, are wanting so much attention, are wanting to be your everything in every single way, shape, or form, then there are other energies that come attached to that, right? There is this energy of jealousy that they may exhibit towards you, but then there's also this energy of like laziness, or this energy of procrastination that then you start to exhibit, because then you start to feel that if you're not giving your all to this person, if you're not on FaceTime with them while you're working or while you're sleeping, you're somehow doing something wrong, right? So then you start to either lack like the quality of the other things that you're doing or that you're trying to do on your own start to be affected. So there is this needing to have an understanding that when you are connecting to people, that you're connecting in a healthy way and not in a trauma bonding way, right? Maybe this person is exhibiting a pattern or a behavior that you once, yeah, maybe you were this person back in the past in a relationship, and now you are attracting that, not necessarily because you're still in that space, but maybe this is a space that you are, a frequency that you're walking out of, like you're at the tail end of it. And I always say, like, when we are at the tail end of things, of a cycle, it is very easy to get dragged into it, right? Because sometimes we're under the assumption that we're done with something, and it's not until we're in the midst of it again that we realize that we're there. So I would definitely, if I were you, the first thing you have to do is set boundaries, and then you have to have a direct conversation with this person as to the things that, like the conditions or whatever you want to call it, when it comes to talking to you, or even dating you, if that is in fact the word to use, right? um I am one that, I don't know if you can tell. I would have to open my phone. See right there? See that little facey? That's personal. You see right there? There's a missed call, right? There are things. And that is something that is going to stay there until I am done. Now, if it was an emergency, if it was the kid's school, if it was one of my kids, that phone will ring. So I've had to learn to prioritize, right? I've had to learn to set certain boundaries when I am doing something. If I am recording, I am recording. If I say excuse me, it is because obviously something is coming through. And if it is coming through, it is something that is urgent, right? And that's kind of like the same way that you set boundaries with yourself when it comes to your job, when it comes to your hobbies, when it comes to your lifestyle, etc., is the same way that you have to set them when it comes to a romantic relationship. All right, so let's go ahead, because we're spending a lot of time in that, and I think that you guys already got the message. So what is a closing message for Virgo? Just make sure that you're not allowing yourself to stay distracted. So we have two cards, and I was just going to take one, but I'm going to take both of them. The Stargazer, set your sights higher, and the Shapeshifter, transform and unveil your gifts. When it says set your sights higher, if you realize that this is something that is going to cause issues, right? Like this, somebody's already exhibiting like codependency energy, like at a talking stage, do not be afraid to walk away. I would not suggest ghosting somebody. Just being honest, being like, you know what, I've noticed A, B, C, and D, and it is not something that I am willing to engage with. And that's it. And it's okay, because everyone is looking for something different. And there's always going to be somebody that is going to meet what it is that you're looking for. And regardless of how attractive you may find this person, or etc., this may just not be the person for you. And there's nothing wrong with that. What you shouldn't be doing is dragging something along longer. Libra, this week there is a clarity coming in as to certain battles that you've been fighting. Now, whether these battles are financially or emotionally or a combination of both, there is, oh, excuse me, there is this outline being presented to you, or this guidance coming in as to, not necessarily like, yeah, there's a lot of these battles that you're fighting emotionally and financially are consequences of actions that you prior took, like you took prior, whatever you, however you want to word it. But and we all know that we're living the, like right now I am living the consequences of an action that I took, whether it was 3 days ago, a week ago, a year ago, right? And whether that was like an emotional action, financial action, whatever it was, right? And but what we have to understand here, whether or not the consequence is negative or positive, we're talking about the feeling that you were feeling in that moment in time. So if you're having some financial troubles at this moment in time, when you were doing said action, right, whether you were impulsively shopping or impulsively whatever, there were signals that your body was sending to you. There were signals that your spirit was sending to you that this was going to have a not so desirable consequence in the future. And And if it was something good, like let's say like you saved or whatever, like regardless of whatever it was, your body and your spirit were sending signals that this was going to affect you in a major way, right? And what is coming in for you this week is learning to get in tune to those signals, because even if, like, let's say it was like an impulsive buying type of situation where you were impulsively shopping, and in that moment when you were going to swipe that card or spend the rent money or your mortgage, whatever it was, right, you got sick to your stomach either immediately after doing it or immediately before doing it. I feel that it was more before doing it, but you somehow talked yourself out of the signal that your body was giving you, because you needed that instant gratification, that instant high, that instant relief. And that energy of that high or that release or that whatever that you would get, you're allowing it to bleed into your spiritual aspect or your spiritual path. There are certain things that we can do spiritually, certain rituals, certain practices that can give us that high. But again, everything that goes high has to come back down, has to come back down. And you don't want to walk your spiritual path with these highs and lows, right? As with everything in life, you want to have this balance. Because when things come down, they come down and they come down fast and they come down crashing down like there's no tomorrow. So again, these energies that are revisiting you are to help you find this balance within your spiritual practice. Not just chasing the high, not just chasing the good, but also accepting and honoring what you perceive as a negative, what you perceive as bad during this path. Because again, everything is about perceptions, my love. Um, so yeah, be aware of that. Be, and if you have to write it down in order to see it, then write it down, my love. There's nothing wrong with that. All right, your closing message. I just want one card, Spirit. One card for Libra's closing message. So really pay attention this week to your, excuse me, I hit the mic, to those sensations, to those messages, to those signals. And we have the Traveler, move in a new direction. This is time for you to move in a new direction, move in a new direction of that balance. There is no need to be living in these highs and lows and these this and that. Like, there has to be this, you have to have a baseline, right? And yes, our baseline changes as we grow and as we evolve. But it's like, let's put it this way, maybe in the beginning, like, you're like, let's say my baseline was here and my highs will go here, so when I would drop here. Or now, like, my baseline may be here, so when I go up, I'm not going up as much, so that drop is not as much. So what do I try to do? If I know my baseline is here, I get to a level here of high, and I'm like, okay, I can sustain this until I bring my baseline to this, right? But you're trying to be here in a baseline, bring up this high, and then you're trying to bring your baseline here, but there's so much in between that hasn't been processed, that hasn't been addressed, that hasn't been accepted, that hasn't been acknowledged, that has been suppressed, that has been swept under the rug, all of that stuff, that this is not rising, so this has to drop back down. And then it feels like you're stuck in this loop of no progress. Okay. Scorpios, this week, things may take a little darker side of something. I don't know what that entails. We're going to go ahead and we're going to see if we can get a little bit more answer. There's somebody that you were connecting with. Okay, I'm starting to see the picture unfolding. Some of you were connecting with somebody romantically, or an interest of somebody romantically. And no, I'll have to have a conversation with my twins. Now let me stop. They have yet started. They haven't started dating yet. Not because they're not allowed, so they just haven't. They will soon. Anyways, sometimes you have to just break the ice when something is this comes in this dark or whatever. But regardless of anything, there was somebody that you were connecting with, whether you were talking to them, you've been dating them or whatever, and you're starting to see some patterns here. And what I mean by that, they're exhibiting certain behaviors that spirit is allowing you to see. A lot of these behaviors are going, and I'm going to say it very blunt, are a mirroring effect of ways that you showed up in past relationships. So if you showed up in a way of being like codependent, this person is showing up as a codependent person. If you showed up as a hot and cold, this person is showing up hot and cold. If you showed up as deceiving, as lying, this person is showing up as deceiving and lying. So If and again, why am I saying like the darker aspect? Because this is not the relationship, if that makes sense. This is not the relationship. This is a relationship to teach you lessons. And I know that some of you are just like, but wait, what about if that wasn't you, then this reading is not for you. Or maybe this is not showing up romantically. Maybe this is showing up platonically. And we're talking about quote unquote these negative traits or these traits that tend to weaken or break relationships up. That is what you're seeing in this person. So this person came in very deceiving, very seemingly very grounded, very on top of their game and all of this stuff. And then you're recognizing certain things that are bleeding out because the same mask or the same facade that this person portrayed at the beginning of a relationship, you know it all too well because that was you in the past. Now, why am I saying that? Because you're in the midst, Scorpio, of addressing that aspect of yourself. You're in the midst of allowing yourself to dig deep down and heal whatever is down deep down in there that had allowed you to show up in a certain way. Because I feel that for a lot of you, you've known these aspects of yourself, you've known these things, but you couldn't help it, was what you told yourself. This is who I am, I can't help it, I can't help it. And our spirit is showing you that you can help it, but it's addressing it in a way that unfortunately is teaching you a hard lesson. So anything that you've done in a way to hurt someone else in the past during a relationship, you are receiving. Now, when people hear that, they sometimes get upset and this and that. And what we have to get into an understanding is that everything comes in cycles and everything needs to be balanced out in one way, shape, or form, right? There were things that I myself did in relationships that were not nice, that were very mean, and in you know and it was in other relationships. And then I got into other relationships where this person, like through receiving the same through receiving the same treatment that I once gave, humbled me enough to to really accept the fact that I did that, and to accept the fact that something in that space needed healing, that something in that space really needed my attention. Now, am I the same person I was 10, 15, 20 years ago? No, of course I'm not. I've grown and I've evolved. But even within that space, right? Like even now when I connect to people, I am aware, right? I am constantly aware of how it is that I choose to connect. And if something wants to come up that I know that can destroy a relationship, that I know that can harm a relationship, I address it before it does. And I'm like, okay, where are you coming from? Where is this insecurity coming from? Where is this pain coming from? Where is this fear coming from? Where is this jealousy coming from? Right? Because that is really all that we're here to do, is to acknowledge that these spaces do live within us, but they don't have to control the situation. They don't have to control the narrative. So, this is one of those. This is going to be a week, or a time frame for you guys to really allow yourself to really grow and evolve through this process. We have the air guardian: shift your perception. So don't look at the reality of somebody as something being done to you. This is happening for you. This is happening for you so that you can address those areas in yourself, so that moving forward, you're showing up as the person that you want to receive, as the person that you're trying to call in, as the person that you're trying to manifest. Okay. Sagittarius, you're still in this energy of pretty much the again, there's this isolating, this it's an isolating, celebrating energy. And if I'm not mistaken, this is a continuation of last week. I don't know, there's something in this space where solitude is your best friend during this time. And it's coming in as a sense of gratitude. For some of you, maybe you're going like you're going away to like a retreat, or you're going somewhere where solitude is the goal, silence is the goal. Maybe taking a break from like social media for like a week. There's something that you're making space, you're making room to really immerse yourself into some type of solitude, into some type of gratitude space. And it is very silent, in the sense that you're not speaking out on it, you're not boasting about it, but your lifestyle your energy, your frequency seems to be looking like it's boasting. I don't know, there's a shift here that is happening, and I've talked about this before. When I am the least productive, and I take the time intentionally to go into solitude and into this gratefulness, into this space, is that it's during the times that everything seems to shift, and there is like this great like abundance of like finances, abundance of everything that comes through. And that's pretty much what I'm picking up here. Like you've done the work, you've done everything, you've put like you've done what's been asked of you, and now in that space of rest, there's the celebration of gratitude. There's a celebrate, and again, and if this is going to resonate with you, you're it is either going to or it's not. We're talking here about like the frequency, the energy in itself, and what happens within when we tune ourselves to certain frequency and certain energy, certain spaces energetically. And that is what you guys are doing this week. It's like tuning, like you're fine tuning a connection to a specific frequency through your energy. And there is a lot, again, a lot of gratitude and a lot of love. But then energetically, what is happening around you, it's like it almost seems like you've won the lottery. Like like this energy of like lucky, this energy of abundance is coming in all areas of your life. And I really do like that. And like I didn't even get to shuffle, and guess what came out? The High Priestess. Harness mystic powers. And that is definitely the space that I see you guys in, Sag. You're definitely in this space of like heart, like, and again, it's going to be different for everyone. For some people, manifesting comes in through like actually doing. For some people, manifesting comes in through like movement, like dance and this and that. So you're fine tuning that connection that you have when it comes to your manifestations, and what really gets you into alignment with it, right? And I really do love this energy for you guys. Capricorn, there is a conversation coming your way that may make you a little uncomfortable. And the reason why I'm saying it is like somebody is coming in a little too late with a certain apology. And I want to go back. I don't know if you guys saw the quick collective reading that was posted a couple of days ago. Maybe go watch that. Because it is very much this energy of what I was talking in that reading, where somebody is coming in with like the apology of a lifetime, and this apology is for you to get closure on something. Do not re-engage, do not reconnect. This is not about rekindling something new, whether this was at a job, whether this is romance. I'm picking up this has a lot to do with romance for you guys. There's somebody that is seeking you out and is wanting to engage with you. They don't know exactly why. There's something about your frequency, there's something about your energy that is, they feel like they're being pulled in, or there is. And again, this is all happening like in an energetic field, and that the person consciously cannot articulate what is happening. There is something within this person's energy where they feel like they're gonna miss out on something. They're gonna miss out on an opportunity if they're not connected directly to you, or if they're not a part of what it is that you're doing and that you're creating. And it's almost kind of like, it is not necessarily, Capricorn, about what you bring to the table. I feel like, Capricorn, you build the table, everything on the table. Like, you build the table and everything, you build the table and everything that's on the table. So everything that you're feasting on, or everything that you're celebrating on, everything that you are experiencing at this time, all of the abundance that is coming in for you guys is coming in a materialistic type of way. Where I want to say a couple of months ago, a year ago, a lot of the abundance that was coming in was emotional, was transformative in a way of like the self, right? And right now, a lot of your abundance is coming in a physical way that people can see it. For those of you that are like in a healthy journey, like you're getting into shape, you're losing the weight, or you're gaining the weight, gaining the muscle, whatever it is, like there is a visual transformation that has occurred. And for a lot of you guys, is like maybe this is the beginning of that transformation. This is the beginning of stepping into that energy of the new. And someone from your past is, whether it is that you're still connected to them energetically, maybe you haven't cut some cords or whatever it is, this person is picking up on what you're walking into, and they want to be a part of it. And Spirit is saying, no, this right here that you're receiving, this table you build, what's on this table you created, this is for you. This is for you and for you alone. And I know that some people are going to be like, oh, but you should no, it's there again, there's a deeper understanding within this space that is needed in order to understand what it is that I'm saying. what you are, the season that you are walking into, Capricorn, or that you are in already, because I feel that you guys are already in it. It is starting this week that you're going to start seeing the physical abundance coming in, and this is something that is going to continue on. Like this is not a short-lived space. This abundance and this growth that is starting this week, that people are going to start doing, are going to start physically seeing, is something that doesn't have a limit. It is limitless. And it's like, again, there's somebody from your past that wants to be a part of it, somebody from your past that wants to partake, and you're being told no. And we have the elder. Move beyond ancestral patterns. Move beyond those old patterns. Move beyond that space of allowing somebody back in, because that was a pattern that maybe you were in with this person, where you allowed this person to continuously come back. You allow yourself that you had this, you would lie to yourself that in order to forgive somebody you had to allow them back into your life, and that is not true, my love. Okay. Aquarius. Aquarius, you guys are walking away from what seems to be like a lot. Let's put it this way. So whether you're walking away from a job by the, like, there's a decision that is being made this week about walking away from a situation by the end of the year. You're like, if something doesn't change, if something doesn't give between now and December 31st, I am walking away. Now, why do I say that this seems like you're walking away from a lot? You know, if you're walking away from a relationship, it's like you're the one that's going to have to move out. If you're walking away from a job, it's like, you know, you're going to have to live off of your savings for, you know, 2 or 3 months or whatever it is. Regardless of the situation, I do see here that you have a plan. So if you're moving out, let's say, you know where you're going to stay, right? Like whether you've rented like an Airbnb or you're staying with a friend and you're helping them pay, like whatever, there is a plan in place. Okay. Of course, you're not just walking out there like, oh, the universe got me in that way, right? It's you're walking out with a plan, knowing that whatever's going to unfold after this walking away, it's going to unfold, and it's going to be something that is going to be better for you. It is something that is going to help you. It's something that is going to benefit you, if that were in that sense, if you want to word it that way. And it's like, again, to people outside of you, this is going to seem like a, like you're having a tantrum, or like you're just acting irrational, whatever it is, right? Especially if this is walking away from a person, walking away from a relationship. People are gonna be like, oh, you didn't think about like what you're losing, like walking away from this marriage and this and that. And you're like, no, you don't understand what I've lost already while being in that marriage, right? I lost myself. I lost my identity. I wasn't with a partner. I was with an abuser. I was with this. And it's like, it gets to a point where you don't even want to have to give somebody an explanation about that, right? You're just like, well, that's what you think, that's your opinion, and that's perfectly fine. Just know that um that there is this space that you already know that nothing is going to change in that space, and that is the reason why you prepared to walk away on the 31st. um that's why your mind has been already made up. I feel that there is a part of you that is still trying to have some type of closure before physically walking out on something. And we have medicine mother, honor your inner knowing. So again, I feel that a lot of you have already been in this space by preparing, right? Like knowing that, you know, you're going to, you know, if this is work, if this is a job that you're living, like you've been saving up so that you can financially, like you or your partner, whatever, can financially stay above water until you get another job, or until you do whatever it is you're going to do. This is not a situation that you've taken lightly, but for those of you that are wondering if there's going to be like a last minute shift in something that is going to allow you to stay or allow things to prolong, I don't see that happening. I see you very much walking through that door at the end of the year. Pisces, Pisces, you're very much this week giving everybody the. I like this energy, because I feel like in the past, Pisces, a lot of you were very overly emotionally invested in other people's issues and other people's opinions of you, and you are pretty much embodying this energy this week. Because like, I don't give a damn, I don't give a fuck, and you go live over there. I'm gonna stay here. You're living in a, and again, when people say like, oh, you need to be the Lulu, yeah, you need to be the Lulu to a certain extent. And I feel that you have mastered that extensiveness, or that, to what extent can you be the Lulu? To what extent can you really live in a space where you're not allowing other people's opinions of you, other people's perceptions of you, to dictate who you are? And this is stemming from a lifestyle of living based out of other people's expectations, whether it was your parents' expectations, your significant other's expectation, your siblings, societies, etc. And something in you just kind of had enough. And this past year, 2025, has been for you guys a very powerful and transformative year. You guys have not only found your voice, but you've also learned to stand within your own knowing, to stand grounded within yourself, knowing that you are not going to entertain those energies. You are not going to go back to patterns from the past. And I really do love this energy because again, you're finally showing up into the world as yourself without allowing again other people to influence how it is that you show up. All right, so what is the closing message? We have the water guardians, connect with your emotions. So I really like this because again, you're connecting with your emotions, with the things that make you who you are, not with the emotions of others. When we're living off of societies or other people's expectations, other people's opinions, other people's perceptions, we're living our lives based on their emotional experience that they've had. And there is a shift here again that a lot of you have really connected with yourself. You come into alignment with yourself to really honor yourself, to really honor your emotions, and then show up as who you truly are. Alrighty, guys, that is all that I have. As always, sending every single one of you love, strength, and blessing, guys. Take care. Love you all. Bye bye.